the fact that we were already qualified for the next round before the game against the Czech Republic last night meant that it was a composed qualification. The performance last night was a much needed boost after Friday. I think that the introduction of Grealish, Saka and Sterling obviously not been introduced, but Sterling's performance was really good as well. Meant that it gave everybody a lift in that first half, and it was needed. There was a lot more energy in the game. We looked a lot more, a lot more balanced, I think, with those three, because they rotated more. They gave us more options. I thought the fullbacks then were able to link into them better. And we weren't talking about Rice and Phillips and lack of creativity last night, because of the performances of Grealish, Saka and Sterling, particularly in that first half, and it brought Kane to life as well. So, really good place. In the back of our minds, we know we've got a giant of a team next Tuesday, but in terms of the job that we were being asked to do, and the players and the manager was being asked to do with the group phase, they've done that in a comfortable fashion, keeping clean sheets.
I know you had a big concern going into the game about the players being lethargic and tired and the physical aspect. Did that question get answered last night?
Yeah, it did. It did. There's no doubt that Saka, Grealish, Sterling brought the energy to that performance. And, you look at sort of Foden, Mount, they are more static as players, even though they move well. I mean, Foden's an exceptional player, as is Mount, but they're not live wires like Grealish, Saka and Sterling. So that there was a bit more energy in terms of speed and pace. A bit more unpredictable. The sort of link and dovetail between Grealish and Sterling and how they switched positions on that left-hand side was nice. And I think that what that did, it brought an energy to the performance generally, and the rest of the players all of a sudden look energetic with it, because those three players were just moving around so quickly. They were like bees that were buzzing, and I think that just generally brought a greater speed and energy to the crowd, and everything felt more normal and more enthusiastic.
The return of Harry Maguire, how big is that for England moving forward in this tournament?
Yeah, before the game last night, he had to come in for him to have any part to play in the sort of knockout phase. He had to come in, and he's the most dominant centre back we have. He's got authority. He's very good on the ball. I think that him and John Stones together are a good pair. And it was critical that he came back in last night. I think Tyrone Mings has done really well, but there was a level of order about Harry Maguire on the ball. He obviously, I think in the last 12 months, we've seen through the fact we've got no fans in the stadium, that he is vocal and that he will dig out his teammates. I think he is, along with Harry Kane, that the leaders in that sort of on the pitch. I know Jordan Henderson, when he comes on, absolutely is as well, but Jordan doesn't always play at the moment. So those two are the sort of figureheads on the pitch for this England team. And it was needed. And you go back to that Scotland game, there were 7 or 8 players in that game that were probably playing the biggest game of their England lives. I think bringing back in last night Kyle Walker and Harry Maguire just gave us that little bit more leadership, bit more maturity. And I thought he played really well. And I think a special mention also for Kyle Walker, because I thought he played, again, really well at right back and does such a good job defending that sort of right channel.
There's been a lot of debate about the form of Harry Kane. Was he better last night? And do you have any concerns?
No concerns. He was definitely better. You look at how Harry plays with Tottenham, and he does have more around him. Son, players who can run Bergwijn, players who can fly past him, and sort of what would be, he drops in, he plays the passes. And I think last night with Saka and Sterling either side of him, it just meant that he basically was a lot more comfortable. And the fact also that, he was marked really well against Scotland. They had 5 at the back and made it very difficult for him and played a good game. But I think last night you did see a better Harry Kane. I've got no long-term issues, no short-term issues about Harry Kane. He got a couple of chances last night. Keeper made a couple of decent saves. And he's certainly better when he's got energy around him, because that's the way you need to play with him.
Jordan Henderson got 45 minutes. Can he play a role in the knockout stages?
Oh, he definitely can play a role. I don't think he'll start in the next game, but I do think he can play a role. I think Rice and Phillips will start in there, but I think that if there is experience needed, or even maybe another midfield player in certain games, let's say we were to get one up in a big game next Tuesday, and we needed to be a little bit more solid with 15 minutes to go, 20 minutes to go, Jordan Henderson would be the first person on the bench that you'd turn to. So for me, I think that he looked in good shape last night. It was good for him to get 45 minutes. And like I say, along with, Kane and Maguire, those three are the real experience in this England team.
Gareth has got some tough decisions to make, hasn't he, now, after some of the performances last night, especially in those attacking positions with Phil Foden to return and possibly Mason Mount.
Yeah, he's got some tough decisions, but the fact that he's given most of the players football and the fact that you can see it feels very democratic. It feels sort of like the idea that anyone can play. In the past, when I've seen England teams go to tournaments, and there's always this massive big furore over, will Gascoigne be left out? Will Rooney be left out? Those sort of big, massive names. There was a little bit of that building after Scotland about Harry Kane, but I think Gareth put that to bed quite quickly with the fact that he did an interview and said he would start. But there isn't sort of a player that I look at. Harry Kane will start 100%. But there isn't a player in that three behind, Sancho, Grealish, Foden, Mount. Obviously, he'll have issues with the COVID situation. Saka. All those players that we've got in that area, Rashford. I don't think any of them could say, I'm massively disappointed and shouldn't be left out, or I shouldn't be in. They're all quite equal. They're all playing well. I think if you were Saka, Sterling and Grealish, you might think you should play again. But also Foden hasn't done much wrong either. So for me, I would look at it at this moment in time and say there isn't a standout player other than Harry Kane that you would say in that front part of the pitch would really kick off if they got left out. So I don't think it's as tough a decision as it would have been in the past if you were talking about a major star.